bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So in July of 2001, my dad bought his first SUV. He never drove a compact car after that, actually. I think he hit a midlife crisis of some sort. And he went out and bought a Mazda Tribute, 2001. It was green. And he never went back to driving. Before that, he had an Oldsmobile, but he never went back to a compact car after that. I think that was his midlife crisis. And I always get a moment of sadness when I see a Mazda Tribute on the road because not long after he bought the car, 9/11 happened. And now my dad always says 9/11 and the car have nothing to do with each other, but I'm not so sure that it is guaranteed that 9/11 would have happened had he not bought the car. And here's why. You guys know I recently submitted a lot of stuff to Lego Ideas, but none of that Lego Ideas would have happened if not for a seemingly trivial event almost more than 3 years ago now. I was tutoring at a tutoring center, and one of my students had brought in this really fancy periodic table that showed, among other things, how rare each element is and a picture of each element. And as a result, I got fascinated with bismuth because it's almost as rare as gold. It was a few thousand times cheaper, and it could make a lot of beautiful art. And that's when I started making bismuth art. And then I branched away to other areas of art, right? Now, think about why he brought that periodic table. Perhaps I don't know where he bought it. Maybe he bought it at a fancy school store. You know, sometimes at the school there's like book fairs and all that. Who knows, right? Maybe something else in his life triggered him to buy that fancy periodic table, right? And so there's no guarantee that had my dad not bought that Mazda Tribute, 9/11 would have happened anyway, right? It's probably a very high probability, but I'm not going to say it's 1 in 1, right? There's probably a 1 in a Google chance that had he not bought the Mazda Tribute, 9/11 might not have happened, right? Anyway, so I get a sad feeling every time I see a Mazda Tribute now, think about your own life. What are some big events you did just before 9/11? Now, I don't know if there's any sociologists or statisticians on this channel. Can somebody do a calculation of what the probability of 9/11 not happening had my dad not bought that Mazda Tribute? I wonder if there's a way to calculate it somehow, right? Or you can think of some other event that you did before 9/11, right? Uh, Maybe if Al Gore hadn't demanded a recount in 2000, right? When 9/11 still, that one might be a little bit more connected, right? Or what else is happening in the news? The Y2K scare, or what else is happening in early 2001? Uh, at the time, I used to love to watch the game show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I remember the show being canceled for some time after 9/11. Sociologists or statisticians who could actually do some kind of calculation, right? And show me what it looks like, right? All right, I look forward to that calculation. Maybe I'll give it my best shot at some point. But just today, I was working on my Lego art project, and I realized how close I came to not even knowing this part of my life. Had that student forgot to bring the periodic table, had he left it in his locker and somebody stole it from him. Kids steal stuff from each other all the time. They forget to bring their notes all the time, right? It would have had a big impact on me, right? And my net worth would have been $100,000 less had I not seen that periodic table, right? So it just goes to show that how interconnected everything is, right? You can never say 9/11 would have happened had I done this differently anyway, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum bum
You
bum
want water?
bum
I
bum bum bum. Yeah, what